Members of the royal family, including King Charles, will speak to Prince Harry or Meghan Markle at all. All contact has been cut.
Brace yourself. What started as a fragile olive branch has snapped, and the fallout looks irreversible. Picture a private letter tucked into a drawer becoming the
close personal friend of Queen Camilla has just revealed that no members of the royal family, including King Charles, will speak to Prince Harry or Meghan Markle at all. All contact has been cut. According to Piers, a royal insider who you'll also remember hangs out quite a bit with Beatrice and Eugenie.
That lights a public blaze. That quiet attempt at reconciliation has been weaponized, trust has dissolved, and, according to insiders, the palace has quietly but decisively shut the door. Here's the whole heartbreaking, furious, very royal unraveling. What happened, who was pushed over the edge, and why this feels like the coldest family split in modern monarchy. For months there was a faint,
Sources close to Harry and Meghan have revealed they were shocked by Meghan's solo Paris trip last week, saying her latest relaunch left them deeply concerned about her marriage to Prince Harry. What more can you tell me?
Most hopeful whisper inside royal circles, a low-key plan to thaw the frost between King Charles and his exiled son. It had a nickname, Project Thaw, and it wasn't meant to be flashy. The idea was simple, small, private gestures, a handwritten note, maybe a discreet meeting at Balmoral or Windsor, a path back from the spectacle and back into family life. But the problem with private gestures is that they only stay
Markle in Paris. Rather more desperate than Emily in Paris and nowhere near as entertaining. It came out of the blue, utterly unexpected. Suddenly, the difficult Duchess was wafting through the most romantic city on earth.
Private if everyone keeps them that way. When the letter that was meant to heal the rift became fodder for public conversation, everything changed. The leak, a casual hint dropped in a podcast, a comment that made its way from a microphone to millions of screens, transformed an
night out in Paris. The Duchess of Sussex taking her 4.2 million Instagram followers on a Get Ready With Me journey to the Balenciaga show.
I don't want to be afraid, but I can't help myself.
Anne Hathaway mixed her Balenci rocker tee with chic black gloves. She also reunited with her Devil Wears Prada sequel siren.
An act of reconciliation into a public performance. Those who had pushed for gentleness inside the palace suddenly felt betrayed. Those who had warned against goodwill said, "We told you so." For the king, friends say, the sensation was sharp. What he intended as an olive branch read as manipulation, as a step toward publicity, not peace.
She invited herself to this Paris Fashion Week show earlier this month. Now, the Balenciaga designer.
Trust evaporated fast. What had been an act of private grace turned, in the monarch's eyes, into material for someone else's narrative. Behind the scenes, the court divided. The Prince of Wales, long skeptical of half measures, had argued that continued public
doesn't say much for this publication. I mean, really, Meghan Markle? How is she powerful? How is she an inspiration to women? She married someone famous from what I can work out.
Revelations, the memoirs, the deals, the media projects showed no real intention to repair privately. And when the story of the letter spilled into public view, his warnings hardened into conviction. Insiders describe a shift from frustrated hope to a unified insistence that the institution must be protected. Quiet decisions followed. Financial ties were pared back, privileges quietly removed, and ceremonial roles that had lingered out of courtesy were withdrawn with the efficient, almost bureaucratic calm the palace favors. Those moves were not theater. They were a severing done in the imperial style. Invitations were rescinded. Coordination stopped. Staff funding and logistical support were wound down. A small family event to mark the king's health recovery reportedly passed without a Sussex invitation, a symbolic snub that said more than any headline. For those watching, it felt less like punishment and more like a pragmatic wall being built, not in anger alone, but in a deliberate act of institutional self-defense. Yet there was real sorrow behind the firmness. Friends of the king describe him as deeply pained, someone who genuinely hoped, against the odds, that some form of modest rapprochement could be possible. He had tried different routes: distance, private diplomacy, patience. But when efforts meant to heal appeared to be co-opted for commercial projects or public narratives, his patience gave way to resolve. The story stopped being about a father and son and became about safeguarding a centuries-old office from being treated like a brand. From Montecito to London, the consequences rippled outward. In California, friends and aides say the couple felt the freeze as an assault on their independence. In Hollywood, PR strategists were already recalibrating, noting that the value of insider royal access was evaporating. For the palace, the calculus was different. Perceived exploitation of private outreach for public content crossed a line. Whether the fallout affects commercial deals or media appetite for royal material remains to be seen, but the immediate effect was undeniable. The Sussexes' bridge to the institution, once flickering, was formally cut. Human stories anchor the headlines. Those with ties on both sides speak of private heartbreak: a father who keeps the letter but locks it away, a son who, for the first time, seems to understand the permanence of the distance, a family that has, reluctantly or not, chosen continuity over connection. There were small, painful gestures, parcels of returned belongings, a photo here, a letter there, acts that read less like reconciliation and more like funerary rites for a relationship that couldn't be mended publicly. And then there's the broader question everyone keeps asking: what now? The monarchy's people-first defense is plain. Officials framed the moves as necessary protection of the institution, not personal vengeance. But the signals are stark. When access is cut and courtesies are withdrawn, the cultural currency that once blended royal mystique with celebrity appeal diminishes. For the Sussexes, the result is an isolation that is financial, emotional, and reputational. Not exile in the dramatic sense, but a steady removal from the channels that once amplified their connection to the throne. This is painful theater with very real human cost. The king, by all accounts, is resolute. Duty and legacy must prevail where private gestures failed. The heir appears closer than ever to his father, united in a strategy that leaves no room for ambiguity. For Harry and Meghan, what remains is a difficult new landscape, one where outreach can be ignored, where offers of reconciliation can be archived rather than acted upon, and where the monarchy's gate appears to be firmly closed. If there's a final, tragic image, it's of that letter, once a hopeful olive branch, now folded and hidden away, a relic of a reconciliation that never made it past the headlines. Project Thaw, whether it ever truly existed as a plan or only as rumor, has been buried under the same frost it sought to melt. And for everyone involved, the cost is simple and sharp. When private gestures become public currency, the work of mending family ties becomes